Investing into property via the Johannesburg stock market, a conversation that a lot of people do not actually take serious, because in South Africa, investing into property has been branded as being valued only when you actually buy land, you buy an apartment, you actually buy physical property. That's the only time you have been seen as a property investor in South Africa. I have been against that notion. I have been speaking out against that idea that you are only valid property investor when you're actually buying and owning or developing physical property directly yourself. So let's have that conversation. How do you actually invest into property via the Johannesburg stock market? What are the advantages? How do you do it? Why should you do it? And why am I against the notion that investing into property only matters when you actually own physical property in South Africa? Guys, this is the Investors Chat podcast with myself, Ivan Sambo. So please like, subscribe, and give me feedback of what you think about today's episode. Without wasting time, let's jump right straight into it. This is the Investors Chat podcast with Ivan Sambo. Let's talk about investments in South Africa and also look into saving and more. Guys, so do ensure that you like and subscribe. Let's all get better. Hello, wonderful people. Welcome to the Investors Chair podcast with myself, Ivan Sambo. The conversation we're having today is investing into property via the Johannesburg stock market and everything in between or under or in that line of argument. So, investing into property via the Johannesburg stock market, why does it matter? For the longest time, guys, when it comes to investing into property, the conversation in South Africa has always shifted into how can you access a bond to buy physical property? How can you save up money to go buy physical property? How can you develop the land you bought to build real estate, residential, whatever it is property through physically owning or developing land? That has been the conversation that has been held for the longest time. And I hated it. I still hate that conversation because it gatekeep how other people don't have the money, the resources, and time to manage physical property can actually invest into South African property market. That conversation gatekeep that other element of how, if you want to invest in property but don't love managing property, how can you do it? It gatekeep how, if you don't have millions of rand, 100,000 of rands, how can you invest into property with the 50 rand, 500 rand, 1,000 rand you have? It gatekeep how can you explore into diversified form of investment and use property as a diversified form of investment without having the huge amount of money that you need to have, or even invest into property without even taking a bond or being in debt for it. It gatekeep all of that aspect, right? And that's why I hate the conversation of saying if you want to invest into property, it only matters when you invest into actual physical property. Because the other side of this conversation is the Johannesburg stock market as an alternative manner into accessing the South African property market. How is it an alternative manner? There are a lot of ways in which you can use the JSE to invest into property. Let me use two ways in which are well known. The first one is through what's known as a real estate investment trust. What is a real estate investment trust? I'm just looking at my notes in my tablet, guys. A real estate investment trust, basically, guys, is a company that is listed in the JSE. This company, by law, either owns, manage, or develop property in South Africa. Its main focus or primary focus is only property. It's either is managing property, it's developing property, or owns property. And this company is listed in the JSE and is known as a real estate investment trust. For example, Vukile company in the JSE, it's a REITs company, right? Growth Point in the JSE, it's a REITs company. And this REITs company, guys, by law in South Africa, needs to pay out at least 75% of their taxable income back to you as an investor and a shareholder in a form of dividends, meaning 75% of their taxable income is paid back to you as dividends. Not only that, guys, by law as well, these companies, because they're in the JSE, the information is publicly available for you to fully understand how they work, how they function. These REITs companies. And because they're listed in the JSE, their share price is typically cheaper. Some of the REITs companies sell their shares for 2 rand per share, 550 rand per share, 1,000 rand per share, 300 rand per share. The amount varies. Go search them up, guys. It's an alternative ways to invest into property, because when you invest into these companies in the JSE, right? These REITs companies in the JSE, when you invest into them, you become a shareholder. Meaning that you are indirectly invested into property, because these companies are property companies. So when you buy shares of them, you are investing into the South African property space. So you are a property investor, a valid one. No one must ever tell you otherwise. That's the first way. Let's look into the second way. Sorry for I knocked my mic here. My apologies for that. Let's look in the second way in which you can actually invest into the property market. The second way is through an ETF. What is an ETF? An ETF, guys, is an exchange traded fund. Basically, it's either does one or two things, right? Number one, it tracks the performance of an index. It can track the performance of a property index in the JSE, like a South African property bond index. You can buy shares of an ETF that tracks the performance of the overall property market in South Africa. Or you can buy an ETF that's a property ETF that has a lot of the property REITs company group into one. It's like bundle or a basket that has all the REITs company inside it. When you buy that ETF, you're getting all the REITs company or companies that are focusing in the property space, either in South Africa or international. There are a lot of ETFs that are property focused, like the Satrix South Africa Property Bond ETF. There are a lot of them out there, guys. And when you invest into this real estate, also this exchange traded funds, this ETF property focus or property directed, when you invest into them, guess what? You are a property investor. No one must tell you otherwise. No one must, because you are actually a property investor. What are the advantages of investing into property via the ETF or the REITs? Number one, I wrote them down here. Diversification across property sectors. When you invest into property using REITs, real estate investment trust, you can focus to invest into a property company that's into commercial buildings, that's into real estate buildings, that is into office spaces, that's into storage spaces. You get the opportunity to diversify which sector of property you actually invest into. So if one sector is struggling, one sector of property is struggling, maybe real estate is struggling, but commercial is doing very well, storage is doing very well, or agriculture property is doing very well, you pick REITs. You can pick which REITs you want. The one that focuses on storage, one that focuses on commercial, one that focuses on commercial, real estate or commercial, or the one that covers everything. You choose. So you diversified your exposure into a lot of property markets, property sector basically. That's number one. Same with ETF as well. Number two, affordable and accessibility. When you invest into property using real estate investment trust or using exchange trade funds, where you have 1,000 rand, you have 200 rand, you have 20 rand, you can be able to have to invest into property. You need millions. I already explained that. Number three, strong income potential. You earn dividends, you earn market growth, meaning market capitalization. When that share price of that ETF goes up, you're enjoying. You get dividends. Let's continue. Number four, liquidity and flexibility. Unlike someone that actually owns a physical house, that must go through transfers deeds, must go through process of selling and dealing with attorneys. When you buy a real estate investment trust, REITs in the JSE, when you buy ETF in the JSE, whenever the JSE is open, you can sell and buy. No stress of dealing with attorneys. flexibility. Sorry guys, there my camera battery just died for a second. So yeah guys, those are the four main advantages of investing into the property space. But guys, do ensure you do your own research before investing into anything. But I don't want to keep you guys too long and make this episode too long. Until next time, stay safe, be wise, as always, happy investing. Thank you so much for watching guys.